Welcome back, Universe, to another episode of Thoughtful Waffles. This episode, I got the wife here, we got the kids.
Hello.
And we just got off work, and I figured we'd talk a little bit, have a little bit of a conversation. And we're going to talk about a topic that we've talked about for many times in different occasions, but not really like this. Okay, so topic is, does money equal happiness?
Can money bring you happiness?
Can money bring you happiness? Does money equal happiness? Can you buy happiness with money? It's kind of the same discussion structure.
Yeah. So we did round one with this.
Yeah, we had some technical difficulties. But
so I asked June to define happiness.
And
for him.
Right. So I said happiness is different for everybody, and the way that we spend our money in search of happiness is very dependent on the individual and what they deem to be worthy.
You didn't mention that.
Of their search. So
right. So we're not. But when you ask this, I see it as you asking me, not what other people.
Well, in general,
believe.
in general, like there's tons of people that.
Oh, your opinion about
spend
people?
A lot of money to find happiness, but then there's a lot of people who are happy but don't have a lot of money.
So it goes back to the definition. So what's your definition of happiness?
So I define happiness as having fulfillment in what you do.
Okay.
And being stress-free or worry-free about anything. And then there's another thing. I forgot. Okay. So that was my definition. What's yours?
I would take out the stress-free, worry-free. I think a little stress and worry in your life is good. But I understand what you're saying, like minimal, like optimal stress level. Definitely fulfillment, because I think that's ultimately what we seek, to feel a purpose in our life, what we do. So I agree with you, but as I said in round one, I want to differentiate between happiness and joy.
So what's joy?
Well, happiness to me is more of a surface word, more surface level, right?
Okay.
Like more immediate gratification in some instances, whereas joy, I was saying earlier, I don't know.
Wait, but that doesn't make sense, because if you're going by that definition, then you can buy happiness because it's such surface level.
That's my answer.
Oh, so you're saying money can buy happiness?
Yeah, but not joy.
Okay.
So like food makes me really happy, but it doesn't bring me joy.
Right, but that's semantics. Happiness versus being happy. Like I can be happy.
It's semantics, but it also represents a concept to answer the question. And then the concept is that I believe joy is a deeper word, has deeper meaning, and the reason is because the connotations wrapped up in joy are positive, but there can so
the question for you isn't can money buy happiness, it's can money buy joy.
It can't is the answer for me. It could sure buy a lot of happiness, right? I think the biggest example of that is Hollywood.
Okay.
And successful celebrities, lots of money, lots of happiness.
But are they really happy?
I don't think they can necessarily experience.
If people in Hollywood,
joy.
If they make so much money, because they make so much money, and you're saying that they're happy, right? That they bought all this happiness. I mean, there's tons of these cases where an article comes out, a celebrity is in depression, it comes out battling depression, or is fighting alcoholism.
But that's everyday people too, right?
Right, but not every day. Your everyday person doesn't have millions of dollars.
So, I think Hollywood is the perfect argument that whether you want to say happiness or joy, that it can't, because people can have maybe not endless amounts of money, but large sums of money, and we still see evidence that they are not happy, and the evidence being, like, really obvious evidence being, suicide attempts, depression, really, really bad. I mean, although some people might argue mental illness is not really a choice, right? But
is
people
money
happy
a relief for that?
For mental illness?
Yeah, like if you're...
No. Like,
it gives you means. It provides you with the means to provide relief. Like psychologists, therapists, somebody who's battling it, who doesn't have those means, will have a harder time overcoming it.
right, but the initial claim being money did not bring them happiness. They're still searching for joy.
Okay. So what's an example of somebody who's buying happiness besides...
I think all the materialistic things.
Well, why do you think that is?
Because there's a sense of instant gratification to it. I'm sure brain imaging studies and all that stuff would verify that we get highs from eating food, right? I work with patients who have food addictions. I love food. Or buying cars or clothes or whatever it may be. It doesn't really matter. You can fill in the blank.
So what you're saying is, not only can money, you're bringing up an interesting concept of money, which is corruption, right? You have too much of something, and it can corrupt you.
Internal corruption, you mean?
Internal corruption, like, and
personal.
Yeah, but also legal corruption. Internal corruption would be like greed. The more money you make, the more money you want to make, right? So, a perfect example of that is somebody who's, let's just take people in our age, for example. You'll have, in Illinois, in my field, people in my age group who are anywhere between, I don't know, like low 50s to high 70s salary range.
Oh, $1,000?
Right. And then you'll have people who are in that lower end who want to climb, right? Mm-hmm. But then the people in the higher end also want to climb.
It's always... So, what was I listening to recently? They were talking... Oh, I know what it was. It was a CD you and I have back from when we were engaged. The point of reference is always the person above you. So I actually didn't fully listen to your previous podcast about poverty.
It wasn't about poverty. It was about growing up poor. We weren't in poverty.
Okay, so that's the differentiation you're making. I was going to say... you were growing up poor, but relative
you also
to the people above you.
So who looks
right? But then somebody from the outside might say it's all relative, because being in America, some there's a statistic out there like just owning a computer and owning a car and having a house or something like that literally puts you in the like top 10% of the world.
You're talking about the American dream.
Well, what I'm saying is poor to us, or having less means to us, is rich beyond means to obviously like third world countries, and relative to the world, we're pretty rich as the middle class. Okay.
So do people in other countries who don't have these means, can they be happy?
You can experience happiness here and there. I think
what do you mean experience happiness here and there? You don't think there's a single person in other countries that can be happy?
No, because I'm making the differentiation between happiness and joy. To me, happiness is a surface level word.
Okay, going back to that.
To me, actually, it's a lot easier to wrap my head around the word happiness, to define it. If you were to ask me what is joy, that is a lot more difficult for me to define. maybe ironically because it's harder to attain. And
Okay, so at what point does happiness become joy?
I don't think it becomes it. I think it's separate. I think it's like so you can be experiencing joy without material means, which I'm, associating happiness with. You can be in the slums of India and still experience joy, but not own things and have things. And it's all about internally what mental processes you're going through.
So are you saying that people who say that they're happy because they have all these material things, so are you saying that people who have material things, have all these material things, and say that they're happy, don't experience joy?
No, they can. They're not mutually exclusive.
Okay.
But they're just different. I do think, though, that everybody has a drive in them to, I guess it's basically greed, but in different forms. We have a drive to be happy, to have more things, to buy this, or it's all relative. You're a mom and you want your kids to look great, or whatever. You have a car, you want the next car. So we have that. I think internally, biologically, we just are born with this drive, and that drive pushes us to bigger and better things as a society. I don't know if Landon agrees, but it can also make us feel lost if you keep pursuing it too much.
Okay, so
right?
If I keep buying the next thing to make me happy, right? You're saying eventually...
There's actually a deep sadness to it because there's a lack of joy. That's not your purpose in life. So I was reading recently a book about toddlers and how their brains operate. And they too...
Ooh, that's another good point.
They too...
Can kids know...
From a very early age, they want to feel competent and efficient, and they want to contribute to society. So, sure, they love all the sugar and all the things, immediate gratification. But they also, like Lila feels, she has this sense of pride, and maybe it is joy for her, when she helps me out, when I tell her to throw away a diaper or something. So, besides just this, it's an internal struggle between this maybe drive for greed or the next thing, or just having more, and feeling like you belong and like you contribute to society. Because no man is an island, right? You just you don't want to just be satisfying yourself in life.
Oh, good point. Okay, so I when you say that, I think about someone like Bill Gates, who does a lot of charity work. So he uses his money, which you're saying is buying him the happiness on a surface level, but he brings it deeper, and he donates it to charity. This sense of service to others, right? Lila,
Hold on 1 second. Lila,
to bring him joy.
Right. Lila, you want... What? Testing. She said testing. Okay. Yeah. Sure, you can use money to bring you joy, I guess, but it's a hard cap.
That's like donating every week to church.
Sure.
Isn't that what it is? Donations?
Can it bring... Sure, and joy is an internal state. So I can be doing something for the community or for my kids and still be internally angry, if that makes sense.
Okay.
It's an internal state for me. I can't define it beyond that. It's...
Nico.
Okay.
Nico.
All right. Well, the kids are getting rowdy.
Nico.
That was a good...
Nico.
Okay. That was a good little talk. So, do you feel like
Nico.
you've had enough
Nico.
money to bring you happiness?
or joy.
Nico.
What?
Or I said or joy. Either or, however you define it. It sure feels good to have money. Don't get me wrong. I mean, of course it feels great.
But you're poor.
But there's a sense of loss when you jump into it too much. You feel lost as a person if you give too much of yourself to the drive towards money. And I speak from like personal.
There's a great quote from the Netflix show Ozark. Money is that which measures a man's choices.
Ooh, okay. Maybe.
What do you mean maybe?
It's also opportunities, but yeah. Okay.
No, it's choices. Like you choose to make more money, okay? You choose to go and search for all these things. But what ends up happening? You want to make more money? There's sacrifice to that. You can't be with your family. You got to sacrifice other things. You sacrifice time for money. Okay, well.
The baby is spoken.
All right, well,
that's it.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.